Hi, Richard. Thank you for joining me today. Give us a little bit of background and what you do at Bill.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kim. Well, my name is Richard Corn. I am a CPA. I spent about 10 years practicing before I joined Bill. Now at Bill, I focus on product management. I lead the areas that are responsible for the accounting partnership at Bill, and I really just focus on making accounting firms and accountants' life as easy as possible.
Excellent. And we've done some stuff together before, so I'm always excited when you join me because you've been on the practice side as well. So we've both done practice, so we know a little bit about that side, and now we're kind of on the other side. So
Right.
you were with us at Digital DCPA in Denver earlier this week. I'm
Hmm.
still recovering. You probably are
Very
too.
busy.
What really resonated with you about how firms are approaching technology and innovation?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, let me just say we were both there. What a great event, right? I mean, such a good opportunity to bring everyone together, have the chance to do the networking, have the evening events to catch up, and really just understand where the peer groups are headed and do a lot of learning. What I really liked this year about the conference, your pathway to possibilities, it kind of reflected two sides of the coin. First, pathways. We are trying to be pragmatic here. Let's figure out how to actually get some of these pieces of learning back to the firms, either on the staff level, on the training, or the planning level. And I just really liked how the speakers, the sessions, they were focused on let's make this a reality, right? And then possibilities. So much is happening with tech. We've been saying this for years, but this feels like it keeps getting faster and faster. And the possibilities side was really about where is the CAS practice heading? I really liked what we saw in the 2024 CAS benchmark survey, that the average estimate for 3-year growth by our peers in CAS is 99%. So we're doubling the size of CAS in 3 years. That, to me, reflects an assumption that technology is going to transform what we're doing, because I know we're not doubling staff in 3 years. So what are we doing? We're automating, we're innovating. That's the possibilities piece. So I just think the way that we themed it, the way that your team themed it was fantastic and really captured where we're headed.
Yeah, well, we definitely can't be doubling staff because we know they aren't out there. So we know
Right.
that automation and technology is going to have to be a big part of that.
It's the only
So,
way. What
yeah.
about you? What did you take from DCPA?
Yeah, so I think, just kind of on the tech piece of it, the AI is just everywhere right now. It's like
Mm-hmm.
our buzzword that we're using in our industry. Even if it was already existing in technology in the past, it's just in the forefront of everything that we talk about. I thought the Ali Miller's keynote was amazing. I was sitting there thinking, I love generative AI. I love ChatGPT. I love Microsoft Copilot.
Absolutely.
I love playing with them. I love doing things with them. And I was thinking that I was actually pretty progressive on the things that I do until I saw Allie throw that spreadsheet up and then talk about all the different prompts that she was doing to build
Right.
advisory information out so that she could talk with firms, right? That was really kind
Mm-hmm.
of the whole point of it. And I was like, that to me was amazing. So now I know I'm just a rookie. I am no longer anybody that really knows much about generative AI for sure, right? So I thought that was really cool. I think capitalizing on the growth for CAS, you mentioned, they talked about all self-reported, but they talked about the fact that they really think that their CAS practices are going to grow exponentially over the next few years. And I think, one of the things that we saw coming out of CAS benchmark survey was that 17% median growth is still a viable number moving forward. And that outpaces the firm growth by quite a lot. We're seeing like firm growth somewhere from 3 to 8%. So if you think about the top of that scale, it is more than double the top of that scale, which is super exciting to see. And then I think one of the other things that was really notable to me is we talked a lot about practice development, transformation. So talking about how firms are looking at basically even their governance structures and their business models, because those are all changing. If you move your model to an advisory model, all of the stuff that comes with it, that has to change too. So we did talk a lot about change management. And we know that all of that comes with that transformation. We have to have the technology. It has to be optimized. People have to be willing to spend money to do it. All of that is super important for their long-term visibility and viability for their practices. So that all resonated with me, which kind of
Oh,
aligns
so
with a lot
good.
of things that you
I could just
said.
go on that list of AI prompts
I
forever.
know.
Like we all think we know, and then you get an expert in the room, and another
I
reason
know.
to to be in these peer groups because you just realize there's so much more. So
I know
totally
you did like 20 of them. I was shocked and awe at about 3. And by the time we got to the end, I was like, that's amazing.
For sure.
So I know we talked a lot about technology. Tell us about some of the recent innovations that excite you about what you guys are doing at Bill. And you're going to talk about 1099 filing. And that to me is like an amazing thing. I remember how bad that was back in practice. So I'm super excited about what you guys are doing in this space.
It was bad then, but now the threshold's even lower. So, oh my gosh, talk about workload expanding. Yes, I mean that I love to talk about what Bill's doing. We have so much going out, but I will start with 1099. For those that haven't heard, that's Bill's latest innovation, was just announced in the last couple of days, which is we are now supporting the end-to-end compliance requirement of 1099, which that includes the W-9 collection process. We've built an entire workflow for vendors to make it very easy for them to submit the document digitally. They can create it online. They can e-sign it. We will generate a PDF. So all of that back and forth, emailing, having vendors. I mean, sometimes the reality is, where are they going to print this form out and sign it? Like it's really at that level. It's just a pain. So we'll do it all digitally for them. We will connect it to their network profile, meaning you're not having PII or compliance risks in your email, right? We all know the IRS is very serious about access to tax identification numbers. That's all taken care of. And then at the end of the year for the actual filing, we are now for the first time supporting e-file and mail. So you will be able to actually do the full cycle of 1099s on Bill. Actually, that was another piece, if I remember right, on the CAS survey, that was one of the most in-demand areas, was the 1099 filing. And we had heard that from our customers as well for years. So I think it resonates across the industry, and I'm just really happy we can bring this to market. And we have an amazing team who's going to be innovating on it throughout the year, bringing even more automation for next tax season. So that's a big one. And one other one I think would be worth calling out is our accountant care program. So we know that accountants are basically the power users at Bill. They might know our platform better than a lot of our employees, which we love. And we want to give them the level of support by being able to contact someone who understands where they're at in the product and really has that higher level of knowledge. So we rolled out a program for all of our accounting partners, exclusive to them. Their firm and their clients now have dedicated support at no additional cost. And that support's available 7 days a week, 16 hours a day. So hopefully we're not working too many weekends, but that is the case sometimes, and we are there for you. And that's just another big one that's not tech specific, but really highlights the accountant community we're trying to continue to invest in and show that Bill has always been dedicated to accountants and we're top of mind.
Yeah, I think the support is really important. And we know that it's important to the CAS leaders inside of their firms. So for you guys to, kind of take that upon yourself to make sure that you have that support out there for them, I think is great. And you extend it to the client side as well. So that's cool. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you back to the 1099 thing. I remember vividly, I've only been out of practice since June of 2023, right? But I remember vividly, we put processes in place for that, and you were supposed to collect your W-9 information throughout the year. Nobody did it. Nobody did it. All got done in January. Everybody's January was worse than it was before. So I think this will be an amazing tool that the practices will be able to use. So I'm excited for them.
We sure hope so.
Yeah. All right. So what's coming up in 2025? So maybe talk to us a little bit about what the accountants can expect from Bill in 25 and what's on your horizon.
Absolutely. Well, as everyone knows, Bill, we offer a very robust accounts payable, accounts receivable, and spend and expense solution. And what we're continuing to do is invest in that integration and that platform where you can really come in as a CAS practice and get an all-in-one solution for all your money in, all your money out, and all of the cash flow management between there. That is a top priority for us because we know taking one system out of the mix and having everything in one place is always a top request. And so that's very top of mind for us. What that leads to, and what our true north has been for a long time, is efficiency, freeing up time. So that platform, what can we do with automation, with AI? We have put a lot of new AI in the platform just in the last 6 months, and you're going to see probably a doubling of that in 2025, where our goal is to take as much of the work off of you as possible. The idea is that if we're going to double the CAS industry in 3 years, the technology has to work a lot harder, and that's what we want to focus on. And then, of course, Bill Bill moves 1% of GDP, billions of dollars a day in money movement. And our payments experience, I think, is already second to none. I'm biased, but we always are putting focus on giving the most choice in payments experience for both the payer and the receiver. How do you want to send money out? How do you want to manage your cash? When do you want the timing to be? What vehicle do you want to use? ACH, check, card. There's just so many, even international, right? So we have a huge focus on payments experience. There's always a little more we can do, right? Overall, I guess what I'm saying is this comes down to the fact that Bill has been partnered with accountants. It's our foundational belief that we are here to serve accountants. And so everything we do is based on their feedback. It's a customer-backed approach. And you'll probably see more innovations come throughout the year because we're always talking to firms. And that's, I think, the highlights, but I'm sure there's more in there as well.
Sure. All right, if we continue to look ahead, what practical advice would you give firms looking to optimize their technology adoption in the coming year? I know you mentioned a couple of things that you guys are working on, but I'm sure there's other things out there, that you could share.
Well, Kim, like you mentioned in the beginning, we spend a lot of time, whether it's on other webinars or just at industry events, talking about this. So if I was having my own firm right now and thinking about how I would optimize, this might be a little bit strange, but I actually wouldn't start with the tech. I would take a step back and say, what are my firm's goals? What are my clients' goals? Am I industry specific? What are my clients telling me they need? Am I focused on that growth number we talked about? Am I focused on something else? Once you build that picture of where you want to go with your firm, how you want your staff to interact, how you want your clients to receive your value, that is going to be the foundation. That's probably step one. Step two is the technology piece. Then you go back and you say, which technology providers are going to be true partners to me in the accounting space? There's plenty of fintechs out there. Not all of them are thinking about accountants. We certainly are, and many others are as well. So build your offering, build that package of your CAS deliverable on the technology that's available that's going to meet those goals. And then finally, this is not a one-player sport. There is so many firms out there trying to figure this out alongside you. Get with that peer community. Come to the conferences. Come to Digital CPA. There's tons of places you can understand firms that maybe are a few years ahead in the cash journey. Maybe they had that traditional practice of audit and tax, and suddenly CAS is growing faster than those two, and they're like, I need to make this business case stronger. What's everyone doing? Or I don't have the staff. Well, how are you solving that challenge? There's just so many conversations among the peer groups, right? So that's the 3 steps I would think about to make it really go into the practical application of what we're doing.
Yeah, that's great advice. When we work with firms from a coaching perspective, the very first thing we make them do is take a step back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take a step back. Let's think about this holistically. Let's figure out strategically what you want your practice to look like.
Right.
Let's do a mission. Let's do a vision, and let's figure that all out. Technology comes along the way, but you have to figure out who you are as a practice, who you're going to work for, who are your clients going to be. And then how are you going to service those clients? Who's going to do the work? And then the technology piece of it. It all comes together as one collective, process when you're working through it. But certainly being able to take that step back is important. And I know firms come to us all the time and they're like, we want help with this certain thing. And I'm like, I think you need to take a step back and look at everything overall and make sure that you have everything else aligned. Otherwise, if you take a piece of tech and you plug it into something that's already not working, it's not necessarily going to solve it, and more than likely will not solve it.
It's going to make it worse, probably.
Yeah. And, I remember back in the day when I first started practicing, you wrote your processes first, then you added your tech. I do think that has sort of kind of come together, right? So tech and process are so closely together now that it might actually be, you do a top level process and then you look at it, adding tech and building the rest of the process around it, because tech definitely changes your processes nowadays. So
that's true. Yeah,
there's a lot to be thought about there. I think the way we used to do it isn't the way we necessarily do it today, but taking a step back and looking at it is really important.
Yeah.
And you're right. Having a community around you is so important. And doing conferences like DCPA, which is predominantly a CAS conference, allows you to network with people that have the same pains that you have inside of your practices.
The connections are just magnetic.
Just having that communication with other people is so important. And we love seeing you there as well, and the rest of the Bill crew that was on site with us. So thank you so much for for attending. And again, thank you for coming today and spending a little bit of time with me to chat about what you guys are doing and what we just did at DCPA. And I'll remind everybody, you mentioned the payments thing. We did a webinar on payments, you and I and Alex from the Build team, so that you can go out and find that webinar. People really are interested in the payment piece out on the CPA.com website. So thank you, Richard. I hope you have a lovely weekend.
I want to thank you too. And Kim, it's always great to talk to you. And thank you, CPA.com. It's been great.